Welcome to School of Timeless Wisdom. My name is Omni Amin, and today is actually quite a sensitive topic because we're going to go back in humanity's history. And when I speak about history here, it's not just the region that I'm going to target, it is for everybody, it's for all of us, because knowing our past enables us to live our present with the knowledge of how to conduct our future. And people who are uprooted from anything feel lost. And here we are at a very sensitive time with humanity because there is a very strong vibration of waking us up. We are waking up. A lot of you today have been with me touring Egypt, and we've been probing temples and standing in front of specific energy spots, doing attunements, speaking about it. But all of this is just kind of like my very simple introduction into who we are. So the previous trip, we focused a lot on what people call the Ankh sign. You know, it's like the cross, the Egyptian Ankh, or the key of life. Now they're calling it Ankh, and I'm going to start from here. It is a big misconception or mispronunciation. So the whole thing about the Egyptian civilization and the Nile Valley civilization, not just Egypt, from the Nile and for everybody, has been given a wrong turn. I'm not going to say it's deliberate or not deliberate what has happened, but let us say that a lot of people attempted interpretation of what is happening, and now we are coming at new findings, people waking up. Remember, there were so many alignments the beginning of this year, and this is the year of the flaming horse. So it's just shooting through. It's not stopping, meaning people's ability to analyze, to cope, to see things is going at a speed that has been unprecedented in the history of humanity. So after these trips, I went and attended a few talks by scientists in Egypt, and I came across something very important. It's a scientist called Dr. Osama El Sadawi. Unfortunately, he passed away a decade ago, but he left us a heritage that is so important. He's got a book called Ancient Hieroglyphics Through Egyptian Eyes, and it is in Arabic. I've got a copy. Those of you who would like a copy, just text me and I will forward one. It's a key work because with other scientists of ancient Egypt, they came together and found that Champollion, the Champollion from the French kind of like invasion of Egypt, who boasts that he was able to translate the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics into the proper phonetics and how it is to be pronounced from the Rosetta Stone. So he's the one who was able to decipher the Rosetta Stone. Dr. Osama and others, all right, not just Dr. Osama, discovered that he made so many mistakes. So many mistakes, and built the phonetics not on how the people of the land itself pronounce today things, but he built it on on Greek phonetics and the Latin pronunciation of things. So it was a huge mistake. And Dr. Osama realized that when he was gathering the ancient Egyptian alphabet, he unfortunately dropped so many things and was kind of like trying to decipher the Rosetta Stone according to his own understanding of his own language. So he made a lot of mistakes. Like the L, for example, is non-existent. The R, the letter R, He couldn't find it. So he was just making up for it. Now, what I called, and I started with the Ankh sign, the key of life, that we today call the Ankh, it's because of Champollion's alphabet. It's wrong. The ancient Egyptian tongue did not call it Ankh. It was called the lamb or alm, and it meant the sign of knowledge, enlightenment. This is why when we were doing attunements and when we go there, you will always find that the end of those whom they call the netters or the gods and goddesses in the temples were holding that key of life at the nose so that you are ingesting, taking in the knowledge. All right. So its proper name is not Ankh, it's Lam. And while I was attending the talk, I read his book and I came across other books and other scientists and so much. I've just been doing my homework and discovered that we were had. So I'm going to share screen and start by a little bit of a shock. And when he looked at the what you call the cartouche that is supposed to have the name of the monarch or the king and queen of the time, uh, uh, he realized huge mistakes, that the names that we are giving those people, those beautiful ancient ones, ancient Egyptians, have nothing to do with the reality of who they are after he deciphered the language. So let me share screen and give one example that I'm going to build upon my talk today. Share here. So let me open this page and I'm going to share a page from his book. It's just, hopefully, yeah, here we go. So here, this is the picture of Ramses II. Now, when he looked at Ramses II and his crown, all right, and he went to the cartouche that bears his name on his left shoulder, and after he verified the Ramses II, the name, Ramses turned out to be Moses. Moses. Okay, that's huge. That's big. When I first heard this in the lecture, I was like, impossible. And then when I started to read the book, I immediately got the book, read it, and then I started to consult other sources, Arabic, English, you name it, interpretations from the Bible, from the Quran, and what is happening? I realized that the man was not bluffing, that what it said as Ramses is actually, it reads Moses, because remember I told you that Champollion could not find the R. So here, when he bestowed an R on one of the glyphs, it was not an R, it was supposed to be an M. And it would read Moses. So what does this imply? What does this mean? It means that we are at a very interesting time where we are discovering things. So the great Moses, those of you who went to Egypt and went to Abu Simbel. So Abu Simbel is supposed to be built for Ramses II? No. Abu Simbel is no other than Moses. And I'm going to here show you from his book again. The temple. Remember when we had two statues together? Because at the time of Moses, when he was the prophet of God, he came with his brother Aaron. So here, this is the temple that has got two people. It's Moses and Aaron. Musa wa Harun, the two. Okay, so he was able to discover this. That's why we had two statues and we thought the two are Ramses II. No, it's not Ramses at all. And the beautiful temple beside now we know it's in Abu Simbel, Moses and Aaron is the one for the beautiful Nefertari, the wife of Moses. So here it makes perfect sense because as someone who is kind of like speaking to humanity about the oneness of God and the beauty of the message and the one God, they always honored, commemorated the feminine force. And this is why just beside his temple, there was the Nefertari temple. I know that we've got Egyptologists here and it might be a shock. What on earth is happening? I did my homework and I did readings, but I wanted to give you this as a teaser to go and read and find out what is happening. So here you're going to tell me, so Moses was a pharaoh? No, Moses fled to the land of Egypt. So what I want to speak about today is that Moses was not in Egypt. Moses started from the Nile, way down south, the beginnings of the Nile, and it is modern day southern Sudan. This is where he comes from. And if you really want to know the town he lived in was Dongola. So here he grew up in Dongola. So his phonetics, his language, everything that he said was really mixed with a lot of kind of like phonetics from that area. But then when when his mother placed him in the Nile took him up north, which we call down. He went down the river Nile. Remember that the river Nile is the opposite of north and south. Like it's one of those rivers that goes from south to north, not from north to south. So he went from south to north and was saved by um, I'm not going to say the Pharaoh, but let's say the king's wife, and they brought him up as a prince in the palace. Now, he was not just a prince in the palace, he was actually, Moses was the head of the army. He used to go and secure the borders of the kingdom of Cush. And you will hear this. I didn't say Egypt, the kingdom of Cush that extended to parts of Africa, way into the beginnings of the Nile, Ethiopia, right? And this is what Moses was doing. He was an influential person, and he was also brought up in the temple, knowing all the, let us say, not religious, but spiritual teachings of the priesthood at the time. So he was an extremely learned and knowledgeable priest, according to the tradition of the time, and a leader of the armies. So when he finally was asked to speak to the Pharaoh, that he is God's messenger, and he sent him with his brother Aaron to speak to the Pharaoh, he didn't tell the Pharaoh, believe in the one God. Because the Pharaoh at that time, and this is another misconception, and I would really like you to probe into what I am saying. Don't take what I'm saying as, wow, it's excellent, it's all correct. And this is what I read, and some of it is also my own interpretation mixed with it. But I've based it on the books and the findings around. So the book I'm referring to, Dr. Osama's, was launched in 2010. It's recent. Uh, on the whole, that when he went to the Pharaoh was embedded in the oneness, the law of one, but he used and abused it because the law of one states that the only uh, doer in the whole universe is the divine force. And it's true. If you really know about the oneness of God, it means any force, any action, anything that takes place is through divine vibration. So he knew this and he abused it. He gave himself the right to say, all right, I can kill this. I can bestow something upon that person. I can deprive this man of his life because it's all divine happenings or the divine force working through me. So here it was very corrupt, and it reached a corruption where the children of Israel at this time, they lived in the land of Kosh. Again, Kosh, and I'm really putting many lines under this, which makes perfect sense that the Falasha, the people from Ethiopia, the Jews who come from there, have preserved the original Torah teachings because they were there. That's their land. That's their origin. So here, Moses was brought up in modern day Sudan through the king of Kush. And when he clashed with the king of Kush, he ran away or fled. I mean, didn't run away, but he left. He left Kush to Egypt. He went down the Nile into the land of Egypt with his people, with his followers. And Egypt had its own people and its own tradition that was so well established. So when he went there, um, remember that also misconception that he crossed the sea, and they say the Red Sea. No way would he cross the Red Sea. Garbage. He crossed the Nile. And the Nile, if you've been to Egypt with me, it's got places where it is extremely wide. So he crossed the Nile with his people, and the Pharaoh ran after him, and the waters drowned them. Now, by the way, the waters drowned the Pharaoh's army and the Pharaoh's people, but it did not drown the Pharaoh himself. He was drowning, but he peacefully went to the shore, but he had lost all his army, and he lived a very poor life after that, of humiliation. All right. So this is another point. Don't just take what I'm saying for granted. Please do your work. So when Moses went, first he did not go to Egypt proper. He went and with his people down south from the kingdom of Cush. And finally, he went to the land of Egypt, and this is where they stayed and they lived. And the monuments are a testimonial to this. The temples, by the way, with the new reading, with the new alphabet, with the correct one, is telling the story of so many prophets. So here, this is just a teaser, a nutshell about things, and I'm very, very happy to discuss it with you further, to tell you what I have read, do your own work, and we can do a follow-up upon the history. So remember, Moses was not a nobody. He was a noble, brought up as a noble prince. He knew the priesthood very well and all the teachings of the Pharaoh. And he also was the head of the army. So this is why he was a genius to take the children of Israel who were enslaved and living under abysmal circumstances because of the Pharaoh who knew the oneness of God and abused it. And he took them out into the land of Egypt. Not from Egypt, down Nile. So all this happened in the Nile civilizations, and the Nile civilizations hold the truth. Thank you.